Hi, and welcome back to Small Caps. My name is Jess Fertig, and today I'm delighted to welcome back James Durrant to the show. James is the CEO and Managing Director of RareX Limited. The company's ticker code is REE. Hi, James. Welcome back.
Yes, hello. Nice to be back and see you again.
Now, James, congratulations. The company has just recently raised $2 million, I believe, with Canaccord and Evolution, joint lead managing that, at a 12% premium to the 15-day VWAP. Now, talk us through that. How did that happen, and how did you get such strong support, I believe institutional support, to your register as well?
Yes, it was. And it was one of those, I would say, classics where you raise when it's least expected. We saw the demand coming. We had some institutional interest of sufficient importance, and we hadn't utilized our full 7.1A capacity from the raise in May. So we obviously convened the board and made a decision on the evening of the Wednesday to conduct a raise to complete that capacity fulfillment, and the response was exceptional. As you say, it was done at a premium, and it was done at the same price as the raise completed in May. And I think we're in a space now where people are really starting to see the geopolitics of rare earths, and then the overlay that RareX has brought with its current project with the gallium and scandium overlay, which we've started highlighting and started diving into. And also then the initiative with Iluka as a consortium partner for the Mrima Hill project really shows that we're active in a very strategic field and active with some very significant projects.
Yeah, fantastic, James. Absolutely tailwinds from the rare earths on the macro side. And of course, we'll get into the Iluka partnership a little bit later. But I first want to understand, for our small caps audience, what is the funding allocation going to be in terms of how you're going to prioritize exploration, firstly at your Mount Mansbridge project versus advancing your Cummins Range and your Murmur Hill project as well?
Exactly. Well, you articulate the three areas where funding will be allocated, and we do so because we need to distribute funds to initiatives that have different risk-reward profiles. Cummins Range is going to receive more funding, particularly for metallurgical outcomes. We need stable product generated across the geochemical, geophysical domains of that project. The exploration portfolio gives us access to those real catalytic discovery type milestones. Mount Mansbridge is our priority. It's a heavy rare earth project, and so that adds to the spectrum of rare earths that we would have in our portfolio. And then we're allocating a portion of it to the initiative into Kenya, which is, as many people would know, the publicly available information on that it shows that it's a very significant project. It deserves development in this market. Kenya's in a very good position geographically, but also diplomatically, with allegiances with the UK and with America and with Australia. And I think that initiative and bringing on Iluka as a consortium partner is a very important part of the sort of three work streams that we're delivering.
Yeah, fantastic, James. And you mentioned, your flagship is your Mount Mansbridge rare earths project. But what about your Cummins Range project? How are you going in terms of securing a license for that? And what kind of commercial upside do you think that could unlock for the company?
Yes, well, I'll correct you slightly on what you said there. Mount Mansbridge at the moment is carrying the flag for the exploration portfolio. Right. Subsequent data analysis, new information coming in, makes us prioritize the exploration. We periodically reprioritize the exploration side of the business. You want to make sure that when we allocate dollars to drilling, which is the expensive part, mobilization and actually the activity of drilling and the surrounding activities of native title, heritage clearance, etc., that is done where there's the highest probability of success. So we do reprioritize that. Cummins Range is indeed, that is the defined project. So we know what's in the ground there. That is defined as a resource. We are putting money into the metallurgy of that. And the interesting side now is that the gallium side of that project and the scandium side, which haven't really been properly interrogated. The metals have certainly started and are very much higher elevated in the public narrative, in the public conscience. So the metallurgy can now start focusing on not only getting the rare earths out, but not losing where the gallium and the scandium go in the process. And of course, that project has an awful lot of clean phosphate. That is not in the best place as a commodity at this stage. It has reached it's at the bottom of its cycle. But it's still there and it's still important for this project. So it's a very interesting one to be doing. And if we can confidently say the metallurgy is solved, that is a huge milestone for that project. Licensing on that project is the other huge milestone. We have come to the very pointy end of the native title heritage discussions. We're now going through helping them define the process by which the entire prescribed body corporate approves the agreement, which is not always defined. And that is the precursor to a mining license. So I think in the next 6 to 12 months, we'll see a mining license on that project.
Yeah, fantastic. And so interesting, James. Gallium and scandium, also very strategic metals, getting a lot more attention at the moment. Now, shifting to your Murmur Hill project, that's a significant opportunity for the company. You mentioned the partnership with Iluka Resources. Can you tell our small caps audience, what does that partnership bring to the table in terms of access, influence, or risk mitigation for the company?
Yes, well, a project of that size is and that nature and the position on the development line that project sits is perfectly suited to RareX and my experience personally, the team's experience here in taking an advanced resource project and de-risking it. And part of de-risking a project of that type is to ensure that you've got the processing capability within the organization in some way. And the way we presented that was by bringing in Iluka because of the Iniaba facility, which gives that project optionality as to where feed is processed. Obviously, Iluka provide or potentially provide with that facility a very technically elegant solution. It's being designed as a facility to receive third-party feedstock. It's sitting on the coast of the Indian Ocean, as is the Mrima Hill asset on the other side, on the African continent. And it's also geopolitically very elegant because of the investment that the Australian federal government has put into that facility and the fact that the Kenyan government will be a partner of the consortium on the other side. So there's two Commonwealth governments working sort of hand in hand to develop an independent supply of rare earths there, which I think is great. And a point worth noting is that this year is the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries. And so it's quite a symbolic year as well.
Unbelievable. And just on that, James, how is the company sort of positioning itself amid the global growing demand for rare earths or heavy rare earths, especially considering, you have very strategic metals like the gallium, niobium, scandium in your portfolio as well? I mean, we've just touched on, your partnership with Iluka, lots of tailwinds on the macro side with rare earths. And so, and now you've just mentioned sort of that partnership with Kenya and the Australian government. So can you just walk us through kind of the macro side of rare earths?
Well, I think what is very clear, if you were to look deeply into this company as RareX, is that it was formed on the fundamental belief that there was an electronics revolution ahead. Electrification movement was very much here to stay, and that rare earths hadn't been appreciated as much as they should have been. And that was demonstrated when the company RareX was formed around the Cummins Range project in 2019. This was before rare earths were a household name. This was before it became fashionable, before the price started picking up of rare earths. And so the company is built on that fundamental belief, and we've maintained that. We actually haven't pivoted like a lot of companies have. We focused on rare earths because we believe in the long-term thematic. And a little demonstration, I suppose, anecdote of the long-term nature of this is we have a lot of dealings with the US at the moment, both for Cummins Range and for the Mount Mansbridge initiative. And everyone almost involved in rare earths in the US is a veteran of the armed forces over there, or the intelligence services, or the Department of Defense. And the reason is that, and these are, they've been out of the defense industry, the armed forces for 10 or 15 years. The reason is when they were in that space within government, they realized 10 or 15 years ago that this was that the supply of rare earths was an unbelievably strategic shortfall for the West that needed to be resolved. And so a lot of them moved into the rare earth industry. And the sort of frustration, or the little irony, is it's actually taken the West 10 to 15 years to wake up to the fact that this is an unbelievable strategic weakness that we have. Yeah. And now we're starting to see it change. We're starting to see it become very important in the geopolitical landscape, and it's become a household name. And we've positioned ourselves from the very beginning along that line. We saw it as well. The company saw it as well at the beginning, and we've stuck to it. We've stuck to our knitting, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely, James. And I suppose the West has been forced into sort of seeing the fundamentals of rare earths now because of all of the Chinese export controls, with China being, the predominant producer and exporter of rare earths. So a fantastic space to be in, as we've seen all the macro tailwinds of a lot of listed companies in this space. Now, just moving back to the company, James, what sort of milestones can investors sort of expect to see with the company in the next sort of 6 to 12 months?
Well, I'd like to see a sort of major milestone on each of those three initiatives. So we are exploring for a discovery. We're not exploring for the sake of exploring. So a discovery from our exploration program would be a wonderful milestone that we are very much putting the effort into achieving. The mining license at Cummins Range, backed with success in the metallurgy across the domains, an excellent milestone for that project. That really just rounds off what that project is and allows us to then build out the final parts of the pre-feasibility study. And the acquisition of Mrima Hill. If we are successful with that, and it is only a proposition to the Kenyan government at this stage, I need to stress that. But if we're successful, and the indications are that we've done the right thing so far, that will be a real material acquisition for the business.
Fantastic, James. Now, I know you've touched on some of these excellent points already, but just as a summary for our small caps audience, can you provide us with 2 to 3 key investment takeaways as to why investors should have REE on their stock watch list?
Absolutely. Firstly, rare earths and those key critical minerals are on the up very much at the moment. It's a very major geopolitical play, and it will not get resolved in the short term, so it is here to stay. So we're in the right industry, and we have the right metals. Cummins Range itself has the right metals in it, and our exploration and acquisition portfolio are exactly attuned to that. So I think that's the second major point. And thirdly, I think we've demonstrated through bringing on Iluka as a consortium partner for the initiative for the Murmur Hill project, that we can progress these things in a very sophisticated way. These are complicated acquisitions to prosecute. We've brought on a very senior partner in that. We're working very closely with some very senior members of government globally. And if it works, we can become a top 10 developer. I mean, it's a very significant opportunity for us. If it fails, then we have some priceless knowledge on the way through, and we can reapply that. So I think they're really the important things that investors should take away from us and from this conversation.
Of course, James. And of course, you've just done your 2 million cap raise, and so the company's well funded to advance all of your exploration activities, as you mentioned, to make that key discovery. Thank you so much, James. As always, it's such a pleasure to speak with you. Good luck with all of your, key milestones, and hopefully get you back on the show before the next 6 months to have a check-in on how all of your activities are going in Kenya.
Thank you, Jess. I look forward to it.